In this video, we're going to work on new user registration. So in our GitHub project, we have a card here for new user registration. Let's take a look at what we'll be doing. As a new user, I want to create an account so I can participate in movie prediction contests. Our acceptance criteria are that users can enter an email address and a password to create an account, and the system validates that the email is properly formatted and not already in use. So I've broken this down into two subtasks. We're going to create the user controller, and then we're going to update the registration form UI. So let's move our card over to in progress, start work on it, and then scrolling down to this development section, I'm going to create a branch in GitHub, and you can rename this. It uses the ID and the title of the issue and gives you an option to pick a repository where you want this branch to be created. We'll click create branch, and now we can check that out locally. So I'm going to switch over to Tower. We need to fetch our remote repository to get the changes, and then I can double click on this to check it out locally, and we can get started. Switching over to Cursor, we'll go back to our AI and start a new conversation. All right, so I'm going to use a previous chat here for user controller and registration. And what we started out with was I need a user controller with a new create action, but I don't need a view for the create action. Create a route for this controller. I'm going to skip this instruction because it actually added something to the route that I didn't want. Update the registration form to match the style in our other sign-in forms and things, and let's send it. Okay, and let's see what we get here. All right, so we have our users controller, and we are creating user. And we have our new action. So we've got our form. And then our route, resources, users only, new, and create. So if we go to our users controller, we have this. I do know that we want to allow unauthenticated access, and we don't need to put only here. We just want to allow unauthenticated access. We're creating a new user for the form, and then we're creating a new user with user params, and the user params is using the updated expect method instead of the require and permit pattern. And then once we're signed in, it's trying to create a session here. Let's give it a little bit more to go on. Referencing the session controller and the authentication concern, update the create action, the user in, and redirect to the home page. Also update the link at the bottom of the sign-in page to link to the new user form. Have the text say create a new account. And let's send that. All right, so we have our updated create action here. It's redirecting to after authentication URL, which may not work. We'll see that it actually redirects to the new user registration form, so we'll have to change that manually. It did update our link at the bottom of the sign-in page, link to create a new account, and we can accept that file. Our routes look good. Let's just test our sign up form. So switching over to our browser, let's go to our website and we'll start at the home page. If we go to login, we see that we have a link now to create a new account. Let's start by creating or trying to create an account that already exists. And I intentionally included a couple of errors. Let's see what we get. Password confirmation doesn't match. Password email address has already been taken. So let's try updating this so that it looks like we want it to. I'm going to switch over to Tailwind Plus, and we want to use this layout here. So I'm just going to copy this and we'll paste it in to our new form. So if we have any errors, we want to replace this whole thing here. Fix our indentation and update our color scheme. And then in place of this, we actually want to loop through our error messages and list those. All right. And going back to our form here, let's try it again. And create an account. There we go. There were two errors with our submission. Password confirmation doesn't match password, and email address has already been taken. We do also have a link back to the sign-in page, but let's try creating an account that doesn't exist. So we'll go with something a little bit different. We'll create an account, and we've been redirected back, but let's see if we're actually signed in. So if we go back to the home page, we can see that we are signed in. So let's fix that redirect. Going back to our controller, instead of after authentication URL, let's just go to the root path and save that. So now after they successfully create an account, they will be signed in and we'll send them back to the home page. So we can accept this file and we can accept this file. I did notice if we go back, let's go to log out. I did notice that there was an issue with the spacing here. So if we go to create a new account, we'll do if we go to create an account, we can see that there's an issue with the spacing here, and so we want to fix that. So go back here, and if we look at our new, let's look at the sessions view. We have this margin bottom of 6 underneath that. So let's just add that to this margin bottom of 6 and save that. And that'll fix our spacing issue. So we can close that, try it again. And there we go, our spacing issue is fixed. So now we can actually go back to our board. Users could enter an email address and a password to create an account. We did that. And the system validates that the email is properly formatted and not already in use. So this properly formatted part was actually done as part of a previous video. If we go back to our code and open up our user model, we can see that we have this validation for the email address, which includes a format. And we also have user test that says that the email address must be a valid email address, and we can actually run that to make sure that it passes, and it does. So that is also done. So we have completed this task. Go down here and close the issue. And we've also completed this task. We've updated the UI, so we'll close that issue. Final thing to do is to create a pull request. So let's first go and stage all of our changes and say add user registration. We'll commit that and we'll send it up. And then back in our repository, we'll go to pull requests and we'll create a new pull request. And we want to compare new user registration. Add user registration, and we can say this will close number 9, new user registration. I'm going to create that pull request. So we can see that the checks are running, and what I can do is enable auto merge. And basically when all of the checks pass, it'll merge that in and close the related issue here. So we can watch these. All right, all checks have passed. It's been merged. If we go back to our board, we should see it move over to done anytime now. So it looks like it didn't automatically move this over to done, but most of the time it will do that. So we'll move this over to done. And that is new user registration.